Hello again and welcome to another Mordy and Glory Old World video. In today's episode, I want to take you through step by step my 1,500 points competitive Dwarf army. That's right, the mountain holds are marching to war, and woe betide any chaos lover or snotling fondler who gets in our way. You know what, without further ado, let's not mess around. Let's diggy hole our way right into today's episode. Now, I'm really excited to go through this army because dwarves were actually one of the main reasons that I got into the old world. Of course, I love my empire. Being an Imperial Guard fanboy, it was very natural for me to praise Sigmar and hold the line with halberds and all that kind of good stuff. But I have to say, after reading a lot of the Gottric and Felix series, no spoilers please, I've not quite finished them yet, but after reading a lot of the Gottric and Felix series, I really fell in love with the dwarves, and just that stubborn, grumbly mindset really endeared me to the faction. But it's not just the lore of the faction that has me quite interested in them. It's also how different their units are to the Empire. On the surface, it might seem like both factions are the same, sit back and gunline. But that is not what I want to do with my dwarves. It might be a fool's errand, maybe I'm just being stubborn, but I really want to try and make dwarf combat work. And that's because at the end of the day, old world always comes down to the sharp end, always comes down to melee. I've tried shooting people a lot in old world, and no matter what I do, I can't stop the lines clashing and the need to get into choppy. And dwarves have some really good choppy, and that's what I'm trying to do with this army. Create something which has just enough firepower, so if I have to get into a long range fight, I can do, but also has plenty of close combat potential so that it can happily get stuck in and do lots of close combat goodness. On top of this, I am really interested to see what it's like running a much more elite force, as I am someone who usually tends to skew towards horde armies. But with all of that said, let's dive into the list. Deep dive, boys, let's get into it. And we'll begin with our support units. So we have got a little bit of firepower in this army, and the point of this firepower is really to just make sure we don't get completely outshot. It's not the main damage in this force, but rather I've taken a bit of range which allows me to either force those armies that might want to sit back and shoot me to maybe have to move forward a bit, but also allows me to soften the enemy up before the shield walls clash. Now I have taken a unit of 10 Thunderers here. That is 10 dwarves with handgunners. They have no command whatsoever. I didn't really have the points for the command, and also whenever I've taken command in my range units, I just kind of forget about it. Even if I just take the marksman, I always end up just rolling the 10 dice together and forgetting that I've actually got a better ballistic skill. So I thought, you know what, let's keep it simple. I'll take 10 Thunderers with handguns, no command. I have, however, paid for them to have shields. That is a bit of a controversial choice, I'm not going to lie, but the tournament that I'm taking these guys to it seems to be quite strict on WYSIWYG. So I thought, they've got shields on the models, on their backpacks. I should probably make sure that I am taking things as WYSIWYG as possible, and so that's why we've paid for the shields. On top of this, it also means that with their heavy armor and shields, they're going to have a 4-up save. That makes them somewhat resistant. You know, if the enemy starts spaffing a load of longbow shots into me, with some Plutonian peasant archers, you know, they're going to be hitting on 5s, I'll probably be hitting on 5s, but then they're going to be wounding on 5s, and I'll have a 4-up save, whereas when I shoot, you know, the archers back, I'm going to be wounding them on 3s most likely, and then also they won't have a save. So I quite like the shields. I'm not sure if they're the best choice, but I do quite like having the shields because it means that if I get into a firefight with someone, I should have the advantage. In addition to these guns, we've also got these guns. 2 artillery pieces. Now, I've got a dwarf cannon. I have to admit, cannons make me sad. As someone who has been running a lot of great cannons, after using the dwarf cannon, it feels really wimpy. Oh no! I know. It's the D3 damage that does it. If it was a flat 2 multiple wounds, that would be great. But the D3 damage makes it very swingy. And I have rolled a number of 1s, or 1s and 2s when rolling this thing for its damage. It hits fine. It still tends to wound fine. It's the D3 damage which is the real pisser. But at the end of the day, we need something that can chuck a cannonball into a big monster from a distance, and this is the best tool for the job. Even if it's not a great tool, it's the best one that we have. But on a more positive note, we have the organ gun, and this is my favourite dwarf artillery piece, and it might even be up there, rivaling the Hellblaster volley gun as my all-time favourite artillery. There's just something about it. Ever since I saw it in White Dwarf and Organ Gun and learned what they could do, I've always wanted one since I was a kid. So the member berries are flowing, the nostalgia is flowing, childhood dreams are being achieved with this unit. And it's something cool about just having the granddaddy of all multiple barrel artilleries in Warhammer. It's just badass. And as someone who has been using the Hellblaster volley gun extensively, I'm very curious to see how this one does in comparison, because it has less firepower, but also it seems like it's a little bit more reliable. You've only got the 2 dice that you roll, and therefore there's less chance for the misfire to come up, so you're more likely to hit at your base ballistic skill, hence why I haven't got an engineer in here, and you're less likely to sort of explode and blow up. So I'm kind of interested to see how this does. It's also got longer range as well, and that 30-inch range, I think, makes a big difference because it allows you to get into a ranged firefight with the likes of longbows, where my handguns, I know I said before that they're okay going into archers because they've got their defensive things, but they'd have to move into range of the archers. Whereas straight away, if longbows are shooting at my own gun's shooting back. So again, it gives me that edge against bow-armed adversaries that may try and pick me off from distance, and it kind of, again, forces my opponents who do want to get into a firefight to maybe have to close the distance against their will, or at the very least gives me something to engage at range. But yeah, the organ gun, I think, is a really flexible piece of artillery. It's still strength 5, so a lot of war machines, you can wound them on sort of 5s or 4s. Rarely you're going to be wounding on 6s, apart from against the toughest of things like steam tanks. But yeah, it's a good all-round ranged piece that can deal with hordes and deal with big stuff. Now that covers the ranged support units, but let's get to the heart of this list. I have taken 2 big bricks of Longbeards. Now, because I have a king as my general in this army, I am able to take a unit of Longbeards as core. And so this first unit over here is 24 dwarf Longbeards with full command, and they have great weapons, heavy armor, and shields. Now again, some of you might be thinking, Mordian, why are you taking shields? You can't use shields and great weapons in combat. That's very, very true. But I can use the shields when being shot by ranged weapons. So again, this gives me a 4-up save against bows and arrows, and also even if I get hit by something a bit harder like an enemy handgun, still going to have a 5-up save. So it gives me that extra bit of durability. Considering I'm dwarves and I'm kind of focusing on combat, and I'm probably going to be marching at the enemy, having that extra pip of durability should mean that I take less casualties on the way there, so I've got more punch when I make it. Also, again, I modelled them with shields, I painted the shields, I'm not going to rip the shields off, so I'm going to use them with shields. Now they've also got full command because I love full command. Now Longbeards, I think, are a bit of a sleeper unit. I hear people talking about hammerers, I hear people talking about iron breakers, and I like those units too, but Longbeards, I think, are a hidden gem. They have basically the same stat line as a Chaos Warrior. Their weapon skill 5 base, and their strength 4 base as well. If you give them great weapons, that puts them up to strength 6. Now sure, they're only initiative 2, but you don't care about that because you're using great weapons. So you're going to be striking last anyway, you're going to be down to initiative 1. So I think Longbeards are a bit cheaper than Chaos Warriors, but they have the same combat capability. That weapon skill 5 is huge. It's very good defensively, means that most enemy units were hitting you on 4s, unlike an Empire where everyone seems to hit you on 3s. And it means that when you hit back, you're likely to be hitting the enemy on 3s as well. So they're very tough because they're naturally tough with their heavy armor and being dwarves. And they've got really good chopping. An entire unit of weapon skill 5 great weapons. Very, very spicy. A good core choice in my mind. In fact, it's so nice, I've taken it twice. I've taken another unit of Longbeards, this time in the special section. Now, because I've got a few characters in here, this unit of Longbeards, it's the same footprint, but it's only 19 strong. But again, it does have full command. But these guys are the bodyguard for my 2 characters, which is my BSB, and I've also got my King on Shield Bearers. So my Battle Standard Bearer is a Thane. He's also equipped with a great weapon. He has full plate armor, and he has a Rune of Fury on his great weapon, so he gets 4 attacks with that. And he also has the Master Rune of Gromril on his armor, so he has a 2+ save. I've also given him the magical standard, or the magical standard rune I should say, the Master Rune, I believe it is of Grugni. I might be misremembering that or mispronouncing it. It is the most expensive banner, it's 80 points, and it gives the entire unit a 5+ ward save, and every unit within 6 inches also gets a 6-up ward save versus missile attacks. Now, the main reason I'm taking this is to give the whole unit a 5+ ward save. I'm also taking it because it's the most expensive one, and I'm a bit like a magpie. Actually, dwarves quite like shiny things as well. I'm a dwarf. I'm going to take the most shiny thing, right? So that's another reason. But also, again, it's to help even the odds against those armies that might try and outshoot me and outrange me as I try this mad idea of combat dwarves out. It gives me that 6-up ward against a lot of ranged attacks, which goes on what will be these 2 units marching up side by side. So these guys are going to be on a 4-up, 6-up against range, and these guys are going to be on a 4-up, 5-up against range, and in combat they're going to be on a 5-up, 5-up as well, because the ward save for the unit is a 5-up all the time. The range thing is just for the units around you. So he is fairly good as a force multiplier. He's also adding to the great weapon attacks of the unit with his Rune of Fury great weapon, and he's pretty durable himself because he's got that 2+ save and a 5-up ward save. But the main punch of this unit, oh baby, is my Blender Lord. How it works is you take a Dwarf King and then you give him a great weapon, and upon that great weapon you inscribe 3 Runes of Fury. That gives your Dwarf Lord 7 great weapon attacks at weapon skill 7. And at strength 6 as well. It's a lot of great weapon attacks. He also has 3 attacks from the Shield Bearers, and they have Gromril weapons, so that is an additional 3 weapon skill 5 attacks with rerolls of 1 to hit, which is pretty tasty. That gives this model in total 10 attacks, more than enough to hack down the front rank of an enemy unit. And also, he's happy to get into challenges because he has 6 wounds from the himself and the Shield Bearers. He also has a 4+ armor save from his full plate armor, and then because he's in the unit with the banner, he also has a 5+ ward save. And I spent some points on the Rune of Preservation, I believe it is, which means that he cannot be killing blown. And also, if someone does multiple wounds to him, he only ever takes 1 wound. So they have to do all 6 wounds to him. And in a game like Old World, where there really aren't a huge amount of attacks being thrown around, apart from the apex, the absolute apex, like combat blenders like this guy, it means that he has got into multiple challenges, and he's come out the side. He actually got into a challenge, no word of a lie, with a Demon Prince of Khorne, and he took 1 wound because he's weapon skill 7, and he killed that Demon Prince in 1 round. Just because he had so many attacks, and the Demon Prince was just struggling with it didn't have anywhere near as many attacks as he did. So he is my Blender Lord. I've used him to cut down everything and anything, and it should be really cool to see him go to work in the tournament. Now that just about covers the whole army list, but let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Do you like this army? And if not, how would you change and maybe improve it based on your own old world experience? If you did enjoy this video, don't forget to smash that like button. And if you want to see the after action report for this army, because I have taken it to a tournament, then make sure you subscribe to never miss an episode, because that video will be coming out at a later date. Would you like to know more? If so, then please consider becoming a channel member or patron. By supporting the channel, not only will you be doing your part, but you'll also be helping me create more content for your viewing pleasure and unlocking a whole host of perks. You get everything from a badge next to your name, custom emojis, but the big one is access to the Mordian Glory Discord server, an online community with almost 2,500 active members. It's always popping off in the MG Discord. We've got channels for army lists, hobbying, tactics, stories, and even a pretty spicy meme section as well. For all you greenhorns that wanted to see the Mordian Glory Hole, today is your lucky day. And joking aside, I do want to say a massive thank you to all of the current channel members and patrons. You guys are amazing, truly the lifeblood of the channel. I could not do Mordian Glory full time without the incredible and generous support of my members, so thank you guys so much. And last but certainly not least, I want to say a personal thank you to all of my top tier patrons. These are the War Masters, the people who have truly gone above and beyond the call of duty. So a heartfelt thank you to Alex Dengal, Bon Vert, Mad Larkin, Marcus Roberts, Mark Panconi, RJ Scorpion, Swordfish Trombone, Try Again Bragg, John Stubbs, Nick Wolf, Diesel Fox, and August Barney. Seriously guys, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Your support is incredible and it makes a huge difference. Thank you so much. That's all for now. Hope you've all enjoyed today's video, and of course, as always, see you guys next time.